What's up, Bears fans? Harrison Graham here with another mailbag video for you guys. So use hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions answered on the show. We're going to answer as many as we possibly can starting right now. Kevin C. with a first-time Super Chat. Shout out Kevin C. Sends in $10. He says, imagine if Bagent is a standout QB1 and our franchise QB. We still get number one pick, trade Justin Fields. It's wishful thinking, but as a Bears fan, we have to dream Bagent could go down as a Chicago legend. Look, I don't want to put a ceiling on a player, but I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say he could go down as a Chicago legend after one start. One game at a time, one play at a time. Let's see how he plays against the Chargers and go from there, because we do know that he's very likely to play in this game as Justin Fields is still dealing with an injury. F. Marsh in the chat, could Chicago buy low for someone like Carl Lawson to help the pass rush? Now, Carl Lawson's kind of been phased out of the Jets' defensive line rotation. Guys like Bryce Huff have stepped up and done more for that team, and that's just a loaded defense anyway. I just don't know if he fits the bill of a player the Bears would trade for. It wouldn't cost you a lot, but he's more of a vet. I think he's almost 30 now, so like, if they're going to trade for something, for a piece, I still think it's a young player. Like, I think it's like a Chase Young, a Montez Sweat. Like, if Washington just decides, we can't pay both these guys, we'll trade a young guy that you could commit to extending. But I just, a veteran player, that Carl Lawson's going to go to some contender. Like, the Niners are going to throw a 7th-round pick for him or something like that. So don't think the Bears are going to be that team where they're at right now at 2-5. If they're going to buy at the deadline, they're going to buy very young talent that they can pay. Okay, will the Bears make a trade, whether it's buying or selling, before the NFL trade deadline? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. Will the Bears make another trade? My gut says yes, but I don't think it'll be a major one. Let me know what you guys think. Oh, Geezer Kieran, what about Fields for Herbert trade? Justin Herbert? I know he's been struggling a bit, but I don't think the Chargers are doing that. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Chargers aren't trading Herbert. There's just no possible chance that happens. Gee, Willie, thoughts on drafting Van Pran out of Georgia? Well, if you've watched either of our first 2 mock drafts, I took him both times. He's a 2nd, 3rd round type of prospect. You got to figure out center long term. I will say this. I thought Lucas Patrick played pretty decent against the Raiders. I think you can get through this season with him if he can stay healthy, but long term, Lucas Patrick's not very good. We know Cody Whitehair's not the answer. I don't think Doug Kramer's the answer, but I'd be intrigued to see him play. Maybe he will at some point this season. Yeah, you need to draft a legitimate starting center that you can build with moving forward. Ogden's upcycled. Did any of the coaches explain why Bagent wasn't in to throw the Hail Mary at the end of the half? Yeah, Matt Eberflus basically said Nate Peterman has a bigger arm, so they put him in there. Bagent jokingly said, I have a cannon. I don't know the difference in arm strength. I'm not at those practices every day. I don't think Bagent has a top-tier NFL arm. I think he's got a decent NFL arm, but I don't really view Nate Peterman as someone who has a cannon either, so kind of a weird deal, but who knows. Ben Seaton, do you think the offense will run more slants and curls to make the offense more manageable for Bagent? I mean, they kind of did a lot of that. Although, it wasn't really a ton of slants. It was a lot of they did a lot of screens. He got back to the check down a lot. A couple slants, couple little drag route type of things, some curls. They're kind of doing that already, Ben. I think the question is when does the double move come? Because to me, defenses are going to start sitting on those underneath routes. That's where you hit them on a double move. DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, maybe even Tyler Scott, who's been getting more involved as of late. That is the next level of this. You got to pull that out of the playbook. Xavier Soup, hot take. I feel like so far this season, even with the injury, Jaylon Johnson has shown he should have been paid before Komet. I don't really have a strong opinion on who should have been paid first, which, by the way, before Fields got hurt last week and before this first Bagent game where Komet didn't have a catch, he was top 4 or 5 in every tight end category. Catches, touchdowns, receptions. He's probably dipped a little bit because last week was a struggle against the Vikings, and obviously Bagent's first start, they only threw for 160 yards, but Komet's done some good things this year. He's had a nice season. Now, could you have paid both? Yeah, like I was team pay Jaylon Johnson, and I still am. In fact, I'm even more paid Jaylon Johnson at this point. So we're on the same page there, Xavier. Jaylon Johnson's the guy you keep around. All right, something you guys should want to be doing in your lives is saving money, monitoring your finances. That is what Rocket Money does. It is a personal finance app that will find and cancel any unwanted subscriptions and monitor your spending and help you lower your bills all in one place. It shows you all of your subscriptions on one screen and how much you're paying per month. It's probably more than you think. Click cancel to the ones you don't want anymore. That way you can save on a monthly basis. Rocket Money can even negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money will take care of the rest. With over 5 million users and counting, Rocket Money customers have saved an average of over $700 per year. Think about that. What could you do with $700? I could start a college fund for my son. I could go on a vacation. I could have several nice meals. I could do a lot. I imagine you guys could too. RocketMoney.com/Bears. Now, get started today. Download the app with our link right now and start saving money and stop spending as much on unnecessary subscriptions. Michael with the super chat. Appreciate it, Michael. He says, the fan base is so divided, it's wild. You've got the camp that thinks Bagent is the second coming of Drew Brees and others who will still ride or die for Fields. I just want to win. What say you? Yeah, I mean, look, that should be the goal of every fan base, is to win. Now, everyone's allowed a different opinion on who they think the better quarterback is. Who do I think gives you a better chance to be a franchise quarterback? I still think that's Justin Fields. Now, do I think it's a high chance at this point? Probably not, because Ryan Poles, if I had to guess, is probably barring a major shift in the rest of the season from in Fields' play from a consistency standpoint, is probably already looking ahead to next year at the quarterback position. But like, if you're asking me, if a 6'3", 230-pound quarterback that can run a 4.4, led the league in rushing for a quarterback 1 year, throws a good deep ball, has all the physical attributes you want, has all the leadership skills you want, but just hasn't quite put it all together yet in terms of on the field consistency as a thrower, or Tyson Bagent out of Division II Shepherd, who has started one game in his NFL career and threw an average of 2.1 yards per attempt in that one game, albeit he was very efficient in doing so. Yeah, I still think Fields has the better chance, but I'm down to see if Bagent can be the guy. Like, I just want them to find a goddamn quarterback. I don't care who it is. I'm not Justin Fields' brother. I'm not Tyson Bagent's brother. Like, I have no bias or like extra reason to like cheer for one guy over the other. I just want this team to find a franchise quarterback. I don't care who it is. Scott Wajda, what is Jaylon Johnson worth with the new contract? Well, let's take a look at the highest paid corners here because we do have that graphic available. It's a tricky thing to figure out, as are a lot of contracts, because to me, Jaylon Johnson's not a guy that should get $20 million a year. He's had some minor injuries, which have caused him to miss some games. Not a lot, but some. But he's also better than guys like, J.C. Jackson right now. You could even argue a guy like Tre'Davious White before he tore his ACL. He had not played well the last year and a half. So like, can you get him at 15, 16 million a year? Can you keep it under 17 or 18? Like, if you can, I think that's a no-brainer. Now, if he wants 20 million a year, I could certainly understand some hesitation. But to me, he's a proven enough player that you should keep him around, especially since he's only 24 years old. Don't miss out, Bears fans. If the Bears make a trade, we're going to go live here on the channel. So subscribe and turn on notifications. I think we'll be live on trade deadline day regardless. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully, the Bears don't trade Jaylon Johnson. I would be disappointed by that move. But if they do, I promise you, we'll be going live and we'll break it all down. Tito, if the game plan has always been to get the ball out quick and Bagent does that well and Fields not so much, why not see what he can do for 4 games? Rather have a game manager getting the ball out quick and not turning it over. See, here's what I'll counter with Tito. I do think he can probably do that type of offense better. But, like, that's not a franchise quarterback. Like, you have to be able to be more than a game manager. Like, you know what this is, Tito? This is the Giants paying Daniel Jones $40 million a year. Yeah, sure, he can dink and dunk. He's decently mobile. He can do some okay things when things around him are nice. But like, when defenses study tape and adjust and you're required to throw the ball more downfield and do different things, like he gets exposed. So like, I'm not saying Bagent can't do those things. I'm just saying, it, based on what I saw in that game plan last week, they didn't even want him to. Like, they didn't even try to. So look, again, I'm down to see more. I said I would start him against the Chargers, which they're going to do. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. But the ceiling is not nearly as high, is the only point I'm making. Edgar Carmona, what do you think the Bears need the most this upcoming draft? I mean, look, obviously quarterback's the big discussion. Let's take quarterback out of it. I think it's offensive line, especially center, potentially left tackle, edge, defensive line in general. You could use a 3-tech. And I still think wide receiver, because after DJ Moore, you don't know what you have next year. Tyler Scott and Velus Jones are under contract, but I'm eager to see more Tyler Scott. He's been doing some good things, but like, is he ready to be a number 2 or even a number 3? I'm not sure. Darnell Mooney's a free agent. He's been quiet this year. Like, is that a guy? Maybe you bring him back for cheap-ish, but he's probably your number 3. Like, that's why I'm intrigued with a Marvin Harrison or even a Malik Neighbors. Like, get someone in here that can be a big-time threat opposite of Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, that's enticing to me. Or opposite of DJ Moore. That's very enticing to me. Yo, you. Is Josh Jacobs a potential trade candidate for the Bears? Running back is probably the last position I would trade for, if I'm being honest. And why is that, Harrison? Well, Deontay Foreman just controlled the game for you, and he was a healthy scratch for a month. Like, I will say this, like, this running game for this team has been pretty solid when they've committed to it, regardless of the running back. And that goes back to last year, which really makes you question Getsy even more at times. It's like, you can run the football. Why don't you do it more? So, I no interest in trading for Josh Jacobs. Can Tyson Bagent beat the Chargers? Type 1 for yes. Type 2 for no. What say you? Can Bagent get it done for a second straight week? Super chat from Michael. Appreciate it, Michael. Ideally, for me, we know by mid-December whether Bagent or Fields can be a bona fide starter for 24, and then use all draft capital on building talent, focus on trenches, possibly Marvin Harrison. I mean, yeah, that was the whole thing coming into this year. Now, we didn't think Bagent would be in the convo, and I'm still not sure he is. Obviously, he is for this week. But the goal of this year was to find out, yes or no, firm answer, if you have your franchise quarterback. I don't think it's a firm answer yet on Justin Fields. I think the potential of that being yes, he can be, is dwindling in Ryan Pohl's eyes. Is there a slight sliver that in their eyes that Tyson Bagent could be that? I don't know. I think if I had to guess, they probably view him more as like a high-level backup. Like, that's what they're hoping he becomes. Like, can he be a Gardner Minshew? Someone like that. Let's see. Let's see how Bagent plays against the Chargers. Go from there. DC Viper, what would be the asking price for Montez Sweat or Chase Young, and would it be worth trading a second? Well, let me just first make this clear. There is no scenario in my mind where you're trading one of your first-round picks. Definitely not Carolina's, but I don't think your own either. So if the asking price is a first, that's a non-starter for me. Could you get a Chase Young or a Montez Sweat with your second and like a day 3 pick? Would I consider that? Maybe. I mean, hell, you could throw Dom Rob in the deal, young developmental guy for one of those franchises if they want to take him back. I'd consider that. I'd consider day 2 compensation for Sweat or Young because they're both young enough, especially Chase Young, where giving them an extension makes sense on your timeline. So we'll see. Not giving up a first, but I would give up a day 2 pick. All right. Follow us on social media at HGramNFL on Instagram, at HGramNFL on Twitter. We got you covered. If you have any questions that we didn't get answered on the show, hit us up over there at HGramNFL, Twitter, Instagram. Make it happen.